I ain't even know that it'll be my family friends. I was so naive, I thought they were like who I am. Bow my head and prayed, and God said that's all in the plan. Gotta go through hardships to make me who I am.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Smokepitt. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Marshall Jones, and today we have a very special guest in here today. And we have Miss Megan. Megan, what's your last name?
Cicale.
Cicale. Is that Italian?
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Cicale. So you make some good pasta, huh?
I'm not actually Italian.
Oh, word? So,
yeah. I kept the name. It's my ex-husband's name. I kept it for my kid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just to make it easier.
So what is your nationality?
Well, I'm American, but I was adopted. I'm Ukrainian.
Oh, Ukrainian.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. I got multiple questions with the husband but let's dive into the Ukrainian thing. Do you have ties to your Ukrainian heritage?
No, none that I have been able to find.
Do you have any viewpoints about the war going on?
I think that it's like with any power struggle, is everybody thinks that they're doing it for the right reasons. And I don't know. That's like a whole nother podcast.
For real. So, how long was you married?
3 years.
3 years. Did it go by fast? Was it a long marriage in your mind, or?
Well, I think that we got married to the idea of marriage.
Okay.
And we got married when I was like 8 months pregnant. We met each other on the street, and we're both like full-blown addicts.
Wow.
And had no idea who I was marrying. And
first and foremost, what was your addiction to, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I'm like a bottom of the barrel alcoholic first and foremost. So I've been drinking since I was 13. And but I got into way heavier drugs. I was doing methamphetamine in Colorado. When I moved down here, I couldn't find no good meth, so I started smoking crack, and it just took off from there.
So when did when did you first have your first drink of alcohol?
13.
And what made you drink that alcohol? Like some people have the drinks of alcohol when they're that young, and it's like, all right, a family member passes it to you at a family reunion, or you sneak and you drink some when your parents gone, you fill that shit back up with water so they won't notice it and stuff like that. But what made you take that drink of alcohol? Was like you were mad, you were upset, or you just
all of the above? You just named it all.
Yeah.
My parents, they had their liquor cabinet locked, but it was just screwed into the cabinet, so I would just take a screwdriver and unscrew that shit. I don't know who they thought they were stopping. But, it felt good. It was like freedom for the first time.
It didn't taste nasty as a young teen?
Like, it was awful. I think I drank like half a fifth of tequila, and I was throwing up for like 10 hours.
Yeah, I bet, man.
Yeah.
I bet. So starting off and back in those days, and what made you, like you said, you were sad and you were angry. What made you that sad or that angry to start the alcoholism? I'm sorry.
I would say, I don't know. I was just always an outcast. I was always like the problem in the family.
Black sheep.
And yeah.
Okay.
I like that now though.
Yeah.
But no, so my adoptive parents got divorced when I was 3. And then when I was 6, my dad moved out to Pittsburgh to take care of his mom after his dad died, and he got addicted to crack cocaine on the streets of Pittsburgh. And so he was just completely absent, and my mom got remarried. And this man began to abuse me when I was like 8 or 9. And it started with just mental abuse and verbal abuse, and it went to physical abuse, and then eventually it turned to sexual abuse. And it was just like, it was like hell on earth. Like this man would do some crazy shit to me. So
Oh my God, I'm sorry to hear that.
so it was my escape. Alcohol was my escape.
Yeah.
Even though I got sick that first time, I was like, damn, this is the only time I actually feel okay.
Felt numb, like you didn't have to think about it. It didn't have to feel.
I mean, in the long run, it made it worse. But
Yeah. So they say that we are the sins of the father become the sins of the sons, but I use that as an example of the sins of the parents become the sins of the children. So with your father going in Pittsburgh and becoming addicted as well, do you think that just made you feel susceptible to that?
Maybe, probably somewhere, yeah. Because I probably knew too much about it before
Yeah.
I ever should or ever would. But I think it was more, you just want to talk about sins of the father and sins of the parents. I think that what I really learned was how to deceive myself through my mom and my stepdad, because they would just play it off like, as long as everybody else think we're doing okay and we're a happy family, then why should we believe any different?
Yeah.
And they would constantly tell me things like, well, you don't know what you need, or you don't know what you want. And I was real young and susceptible, and I just started believing that shit. So as long as everybody around me thought that I was doing okay, then I must be doing okay.
Oh, and your dad, that was an addict. That was your adopted dad.
Yeah, but I was more like him than anybody else.
Okay. So did he ever find out in regards to your mom's, was it your mom's boyfriend or husband that started doing those things?
Husband, yeah. Well, I mean, he was halfway across the country, and I
Yeah.
would call him for help constantly. And now I realize, then I didn't understand, but he was in no capacity to try to help me. He couldn't even help himself.
Yes.
So
And what did your mother say when she heard it from you or when she found out?
she told me to stop being so dramatic. Oh, and to wear more clothes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man.
She actually eventually ended up choosing to testify against me when I finally turned him in.
Wow.
So
Was she an addict or an alcoholic?
she's a pothead,
Wow, man.
but she's like, she brings whole new meaning to pothead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I'm sorry, that just took me for a loop, man. It's just I don't want to. As a believer in the Most High, I don't feel like we can say that people deserve to perish or people deserve to die and stuff. But I feel like there's some people in this world that be. They said it. There was somebody that was a friend of mine back in the days. They used to call it a diff or a demon in the flesh or something, and that's what they're saying. And I feel like there's people that's walking around that's just pure darkness.
Yeah.
And I apologize for me that you had to deal with that. But you said something earlier, and you said that 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 a lot of these situations made you who you are today, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, with you dealing with the negativity or the darkness that you had to deal with early in life, what brightness or what light has that brought into your life for you to do for others, or just in general, what light or perspective did it bring?
That is a loaded question. Well, for a long time there wasn't any light from it. But since I've learned of my inherent worth and value in God,
Yes, ma'am.
all those broken places, and I know this is going to sound really cliche, but it's so true. It holds true to me. All those broken places are places where He can shine through. So my story is not my story. My story is her story and His story and everybody's story.
Mm-hmm.
And the redemption of it is just, it's amazing, because I'm literally like a walking statistical anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's amazing that I'm alive and I'm sober right now. So
It's your testimony.
yeah, it's beautiful.
It's your testimony. There was a song that I had that said, and I'm just paraphrasing, but our testimony is the wrongs that we experience in life, and that's how we heal other people. We heal them through our wrongs. So, um, your experiences is either that of somebody else's story or that of somebody else's like, don't go down this path. So you could help somebody by just sharing your testimony as well, and they'll turn the other way. Or somebody's already been down that path and know I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And I noticed from your story that to feel numb from the alcohol and to want to not feel anything, you felt alone.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you're that young and to not feel alone during that moment could have changed a lot going on in your life. So just to be able to share your testimony can help somebody else out and change that trajectory. So we're gonna go back to each drug that you said you started. So after the alcohol, what was next?
Cocaine.
Cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that come about?
Oh, I just always hung out with older people, and so
At what age? My bad. At what
no,
age?
it's okay. Let's see. I started smoking weed when I was 12. That's also the first time I got in trouble with the law. First time I got arrested. And
We gotta come back to that.
yeah, tell you, it's a good story.
Yeah.
Drinking by 13, snorting cocaine by 14. And that continued for a few years. I probably didn't move to meth until 18, 19 probably. And then obviously the crack cocaine wasn't until I moved down here. So probably 21, 22.
Okay, so to start you hanging out with these older people and you start snorting cocaine. How did All right, so you're at this group of friends and they're like, "Hey, you want some cocaine?" Or that's just how it happened, or is it like, "Hey, what's that? Let me try it," types? Or
Yeah, this motherfucker laid out a line and he said, "When you do this, you're going to want to do it again and again and again and again." And I said, "Okay, I want it." Yeah.
and
I
you didn't
remember
like.
that like it was yesterday. I can still see his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I heard that like I've never really been privy to anybody that's done meth or been around them, but I heard meth is like crazy, like
It is.
so how long are you high on meth?
It depends on how good it is, but I would be high for days.
Whoa.
Days. I think that's that's almost the longest I've ever been up. Like probably 4.5 days on meth.
Four
But
and a half days?
I was up for longer when I was on the street, but that was out of survival.
Yeah.
I think I fell asleep standing up one time.
Damn.
Yeah, that shit's real.
Yeah, that's definitely real. So, all right. Now you go through all of that. First, let's rewind. No. Now you're smoking weed, and then you get in trouble with the law. How did that situation go?
Oh, I was selling weed and
At 12?
yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'd steal it from my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd sell it in school because she had no idea. She had like pounds of that shit.
Colorado.
And, oh
Colorado
yeah, and so
somewhere.
is that loud too, man. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
And I was talking about it with a friend, or with somebody who wanted to buy some from me one day, and apparently someone overheard him or some shit happened, and they got back to the vice principal. And so the next day I was walking into school and I was late, and I had it in my purse. I had like some bottles of little Absolute Current, like flavored vodka in my purse. I think I had like some ecstasy in my purse. Like I just had all sorts of crazy shit, or in my backpack, whatever. And I walked in and the vice principal was waiting for me. And yeah, I sat there on the other side of his desk. And this is actually when I knew, like, if I look back on this moment, that's the moment I realized that I'd be a really good criminal.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, and I was a good criminal until I wasn't,
Yeah.
Everybody gets caught, dies, or whatever eventually. But no, I sat there and I cried and I did my sob story, and he handed me some tissues, and while I'm throwing the tissues in the trash can, I'm putting all my shit in the trash can and covering it up with, and finally he searches my stuff, couldn't find anything. And they still charged me with conspiracy to sell marijuana in a public school. I got like 50 hours of community service.
At 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So how many other times from 12 years old until you left and came down to Jacksonville were you in trouble with the law?
I don't know.
It's like a lot, or
Yeah, probably at least 10.
damn. What was the worst time before you left Colorado?
Before I left Colorado?
Yeah.
Second DUI.
Second?
Mm-hmm.
So how many you did?
I have 3. I have 2 altogether.
Okay.
So just the second one, but the second one I was hammered and I got charged with aggravating a peace officer, menace to a witness, menace to a first responder, all sorts of crazy shit, all sorts of like class 3 felonies.
You was trying to beat people ass when they got you.
I was trying to do something. I think I was trying to get the fuck away, but
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going to go. I was in the middle of the woods. So,
So did you crashed out there?
No, I just, I like swerved off the side of the road and somebody behind me called the cops on me.
Oh, man.
So
They probably saved your life, didn't they? You think?
probably it's a possibility. Yeah.
Okay. So now you had this hard upbringing, and you were adopted. Your adopted parents split at 3 years old, and you experienced this tough, a lot of darkness in this upbringing. Whatever, before we leave Colorado and come to Jacksonville, whatever happened to that demon in the flesh, that dark person?
Well, I turned him in at age 16. I ended up graduating high school like a year and a half early too. So I was like 4 months away from graduating high school. And I was working 2 basically full-time jobs. And I turned him in. And like I said, my mom chose to testify against me. And I got legally emancipated because he wasn't allowed within probably 100 yards or some crazy number like that to me. And this is when they decided it was a good idea to try to fly my dad out from Pittsburgh, who was still, full on in addiction.
Yeah.
And tried to put me up in a house with him. So we were like 2 like raving addicts in a house together, and it didn't work out. He almost died driving off the road, and all this crazy shit went down. And in the end of it all, I was just ready to die because my entire family had abandoned me. Everything that like any type of faith I had in humanity was gone. Like I literally believed like I'm worth nothing. I have no worth. And the only time I ever had any like type of peace and serenity and validation in my home was after bouts of abuse, like for like a few days. And we call that the honeymoon phase.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be like sunshine and rainbows for like 3 or 4 days. And then all hell would break loose again. So I had no self-worth. I had no self-esteem. And inadvertently was taught that the way to make people happy was to give them what they want. And apparently the only thing that I was worth was my body. And so I gave up. I completely gave up. And I gave up on the case. I gave up on everything. And it was pretty much just all downhill from there.
You said something earlier that I wanted to come back to, and I made a mental note of it. When I said the black sheep of the family, you said, yeah, but I like that now. So I feel like in life, when you go through things like that early, you're being primed to, like, pressure makes diamonds. So you're being converted into the diamond, the butterfly, whatever metaphor you want to use towards that, to stand alone later in life stronger. So when we going through stuff like that early in life, we think, woe is me, the world is against me, I hate this. But when you're later on in life, thank God that you made it later on in life, you get to see how strong you are compared to the other people that's walking throughout this earth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like sometimes it could be a badge of honor. It's like, I know how hard this world can get, so now I'm making a decision to know how beautiful this world can be. You feel me?
Yeah. Amen.
And man. So, like, first off, shouts out to all the black sheeps out there. Shouts out to the black sheeps, man. Because this world was created by black sheeps. This world is built by black sheeps and molded by black sheeps. Because everything that we see and everything that we utilize, at one point in time, when somebody told another person that was their idea, people bashed it and said that it wasn't going to work. So those black sheeps are the people that creates everything that we maneuver and we use. So now you're leaving Colorado, and you have all of this all of this anger, all of this sadness, all of this shame that's pent up, this rage that's pent up, this addiction. Describe to me the feelings that you're feeling when you're knowing that you're going to leave, if you're on that plane, if you're in that bus, if you're on that car, and you're heading down to Jacksonville, Florida. What are you feeling?
Um, I was completely driven by resentment.
Okay.
I was also fleeing the state as a felony fugitive,
Wow.
which is probably why I picked Florida. um, Anger is right, but I think for me, the anger was always just a cover emotion for fear of just never being important enough, of never being, of always being forgotten, of always I was always seeking validation in external things and other people. Because I mean, just how I was raised, you earned love.
Mhm.
It wasn't an unconditional thing. It was very conditional. And so that's what I was always looking for. And I was angry about it. Rightfully so. I was angry about
Yes.
it. That just drove me.
Down to Florida. So
Yeah.
you're a fugitive. Did any of that come back to bite you when you made it to Florida?
Well, I waited 7 years till the statute of limitations ran out on some of the charges. But that wasn't until after I got arrested in Duval County for a sting, actually, a Backpage sting, which was one of my first bouts of prostitution. And I got arrested with like 17 other girls and made the news.
Wow.
Made First Coast News. Yeah. And they, it was my first charge, at least here in the state of Florida, but I had a warrant out in the state of Colorado. But if they don't extradite you, which they ended up not extraditing me because for whatever reason, the state of Florida can never actually pick you up on that charge again. So I floated freely for another few years. And then finally decided to turn myself in and went and did like 20 days and paid like $5,000 in fees.
Wow. So how long from the time that you made it to Duval County were you getting into the prostitution field?
Let's see. I started living at the Red Roof Inn on Phillips Highway in JTB, and that was where I met my first pimp. And I just fell right into it. I was working at Applebee's at the time too, but I just fell right into it. They're a real special kind, and they have a way of making you feel like you're the best thing in the world for like the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then that shit you realize that you're just another.
So how did you guys meet? Did you meet at Applebee's or you met at Red Roof or?
Well, all those hotels back then were popping with drug dealers and just girls everywhere. I think they've cleaned it up a little bit since then. But
what year was this?
2009, 2010.
I used to be around here back in those. Like I used to be in the Navy out here from until 06 to 08. Then I came back down here. That was the time I was around here with you, Bash. Like, dang, bro. So during that time frame, you meet. Can we give the pimp a nickname?
I'm trying to remember what his nickname was. Sorry, there's
non-magic Don Juan. Let's say non-magic Don Juan. So, so
I like that.
You meet non-magic Don Juan, and you're So how does he get you to go on your first go get your first John or trick or whatever?
Money.
Okay.
It was
Good motivator.
easy money. It was easy, quick money.
So when you got the money, is this one of the people or Unmagic Don Juan? Is this one of the people that takes all your money, or you give him a cut?
I give him that shit unless I want to get my ass beat.
So has he ever beat your ass?
Oh yeah, I mean, so that was just like my first go around, and I think now that I like really think about it, he was like small time, small game, and in the process of working, I immediately caught the attention of, of some other guys who were bringing in a lot more money and had a lot more girls. But I had to first go through a process, and I went through that probably 5 times where they broke me in, and some of them did it real old school. And basically they would just beat me to a pulp, basically. And while they're doing that, they would say things like, you don't belong out here. You need to go back to your family. You need to go back to your family. You don't belong out here. And I'm like, and I'm taking this all in while I'm vulnerable, while I'm bleeding, while I'm getting beat, while I'm bruised. And then they'd pick you back up and they'd sit you down and they'd wipe you off and they'd say, but I'll take care of you. You got me. You can be loyal to me. I've got you. Because your family better off without you anyway. Your family better off without you anyway.
What's that?
And that would just happen over and over and over again.
What do they call it where the woman falls in love with her captor? What is it called?
It's called a trauma bond.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that shit's real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned, I think what my family did to me was teach me that loyalty doesn't exist. And one thing I did learn from the streets was loyalty, period. So it's kind of crazy how that kind of flipped up on me. But
so that's the old school way of you going through the process. What was a different way of you going through the process when you joined another?
Well, some of the guys I would fuck with would just be dope boys, and they would take me in, and they wouldn't. I didn't have to work the streets, but I would sell guns. I would bring in like licks, other, just people off the street who wanted to buy drugs, and I'd keep them high for days and just, talk to them and just like be there for them and entertain them or whatever, until they were broke. And they thought they were doing me a favor too. But I mean, at least I ate and, didn't have to walk the street. But that was just, they get real tired of it real quick. So, yeah.
So right now we're gonna play a song for y'all. It's by me, Marshall Jones, and Jordan Lee, and it's called Tears of an Angel. I hope you enjoy. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Miss Megan.
Some messy times. I look back at how I ruined the best of times. All them choices that I made that just weren't right. When I return the energy, I have blocked my life. Indigo child, it took me a while to get to where I'm at now. When you are a chosen one, you molded to overcome. So them problems gonna come in some large piles. Yeah, I need some angel tears collecting in the glass bottle. Pour it on me when I'm going through my bad problems. Broke days had me down to my last dollar. Didn't play my role, I was out being a bad model. I need your relief. Will you forgive me? I know my purpose to bring light to the earth when it's all dark. My sermon just needs your weep. So strength to reach all my dreams. Tears of an angel.
Welcome back to the Smoke Pit. Um, that song's amazing. That was one of my favorite songs to do with Jordan Lee. And I mean, I hope that song brought the happiness to y'all that it brings to me every time I hear it. And go out there and chase your dreams. Go out there and get it. So we're back here with Miss Megan, and we were talking about when you first got to Jacksonville, when you first got to Duval, and you met up with non-Magic Don Juan and the other pimps, and you started your life as a prostitute during that
I
time.
think his name was Ratchet Red.
Ratchet Red.
Yeah,
No comment, because I don't know if Ratchet Red gonna watch this. So
I like you. I like your name.
I ain't want to. But so you leave him and you go and you meet the dope boys who was putting you on. So how many pimps did you go through during the period of you being in that situation?
Okay. I think I need to backtrack just a little bit because. So I messed around. I was messing around with him, but then I met. I was still working at Applebee's, so through all this, I ended up meeting who's now my ex-husband. Okay.
Okay.
And so there was kind of like a slight pause in any type of progression with that part, with the prostitution and with being trafficked or pimped out, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting pregnant, and then we got married at 8 months pregnant. We bought a house, had the kid, and I had obviously I was breastfeeding and stuff, and I wasn't drinking, I wasn't drugging, but I was just like putting it all on pause.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I was done breastfeeding and I started drinking a little bit again, I started realizing who I was married to and how miserable I actually really was. And I spent most of my time talking to his back, and everything was he was sober. Even like he went out, I think the last time he got high, he was gone for the first 5 days of our daughter's life. And I had no idea where he was. But ever since then, he's been sober. But anyway, we didn't like each other. And I tried marriage counseling. He never showed up. Pretty much tried everything I could to honor that covenant.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I still had a lot of my old habits of seeking validation. And, I didn't know God. I didn't know Christ. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my worth was. And I definitely wasn't getting validated at home. And so after I would put our daughter to sleep and he was asleep, I would go out to the bars. And that's actually where I met my first like bigger time trafficker. And I didn't know he was a trafficker at the time. I didn't know he was anything at the time. But he had a way with words that I don't know.
He was a smooth dude.
He was a super smooth dude. He was a super smooth Puerto Rican. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he was very good at what he did. And it was that validation I needed.
So is he like the recruiter type person, or is it like a system of how that goes?
It really just depends, because nowadays they call themselves promoters. But no, he put me on the streets. So, and all my money went to him, but he ended up selling me later on. But he was the first one who actually took me. He was who took me from my home. So, I would go out and see him at nights, and eventually, and I would, talk about my family, and I talk about my daughter, and I talk about this and talk about that. And I guess one night he just got real tired of hearing it, and I woke up like 2 days later, on Orange Blossom Trail in Orlando, and had no idea where I was, had no idea how I got there. I mean, it could be a great number of things. He could have given me heroin, he could have given me fentanyl, he could have given me Rohypnol. I don't know. I mean, it could have been anything.
Wow.
At that point, because
So
I completely was gone.
describe to me those feelings. You open your eyes. You didn't know how many days it went by. You don't know where you're at. How does that feel?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying. And of course, now he had me, and I don't know. I couldn't even, like, I would speak out of turn and he'd backhand me, like crazy shit like that. He'd always follow close behind me, because he put me out on the street, and he would say, "This is how you talk. This is how you walk. This is how you do this. This is what you ask for. These are the signs you need to look out for, and I'll always be really close by you." Which, at the time probably felt like, oh, hey, he's got my back. He's watching me, like, we're in this together. Like, he's going to get me my drugs. He's going to get me this. He's going to get me that. Because at that point, in order to do anything, to feed my habit and to feed anything, I needed him. Yeah. Like, I was completely dependent on him, especially because I had no idea where I was. So, I mean, I knew I was in Orlando, but like, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know how far I was from, not
as
being
this
from
is
here.
happening, what's going on back home with your ex-husband and your daughter?
Probably complete chaos. That was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Was knowing that I just abandoned my daughter, even though it was me who, in my vulnerabilities, that I couldn't even help myself. And I have to own up to the fact that, like, I put myself in those situations to even be taken advantage of like that. But it still doesn't take away from the guilt and the shame of, it's like my daughter wasn't enough to keep me straight.
I had a conversation with my brother before, and we were talking about upbringings, and we were talking about parents. So one thing that we do is we want our parents to be a certain type of way, and our parents want us to be a certain type of way. But Most High said they know not what they do. So when you say that my daughter wasn't enough, you weren't necessarily, like, you wanted to be the certain parent that you wanted to be, but that comes with like being taught that, you feel me?
Absolutely.
And learning as you go. But
yeah.
You can't blame yourself during that time period for not knowing based on the upbringing that you experienced.
Absolutely.
So when times like that was occurring, like, man, first off, this just hit me in my heart just hearing that part. But you remain strong during that time. You feel me? Remain strong and understand that you're learning as you go, and you're a better parent today for telling your testimony.
I know that's right.
And I could see it in your eyes how hurt you were, so I could tell how much you love your daughter.
Yeah.
Definitely. But you could continue. My bad for cutting you off.
I don't think you cut me off. I don't even know where I was.
You was talking about how you felt what was going on back home with your ex-husband and your daughter.
Yeah. I just I was completely cut off from them. I didn't have a phone. Even if I got a phone, sometimes I would get a John to buy me a phone just so I could have a phone and try to call and see how everything was going. But I would get searched on a regular basis. I would, they would make sure I didn't have any extra money hanging on me and stuff like that. So
So it was just them, but so individual, or was it multiple people together?
well, I mean, they all kind of team up. So it was just one. It was just Angel. This was just Angel at this point. And but he knew everybody because he's from Orlando. Okay, so he knew everybody down there,
Mhm.
and he'd always say, "Keep an eye out for her, watch her," and they called me Money. Watch Money. That's what they called me for years, and so anything I did, anything I had, it all got back to him real quick. Like so,
Wow.
yeah, it's like a whole
So what
whole
was the
network.
time frame from the time that you first met Angel in the bar that first night where you went off to the bar to the time that you were in Orlando?
Maybe 3 months.
Damn.
Not
So
long. Not long at all.
did so do you think he was just like trying to figure if what would happen if he would take you during that 3 months? Like he's just sizing you up, trying to see what's going on with you. To
Well, at first it was yeah, I mean, absolutely. Traffickers, pimps, whatever you want to call it. Um they are now that I've been able to do research, I've talked to therapists who have actually been therapists to like perpetrators like this,
Mhm.
just to kind of understand their point of view, because that shit made no sense to me at
Yeah.
all. Like, how could you be a person who literally preys on women who are already vulnerable, just being women alone? um but they have it's amazing. They have a certain mindset, and there's a part of them I don't think that even knows what they're doing. um
Sociopaths?
Maybe to a certain extent,
Hmm.
yeah, because there's just not a whole lot of there's no sign of remorse, there's no sign of, and if there is, it's because they're playing a game with you.
Yeah.
um but but no, he was just, first it was because he didn't have a whole lot of time with me, because it was only when I felt like I could leave my daughter. And then of course, as um my addiction increased, I left more and more.
So how old was your daughter at the time?
When I left, she was 3.
Wow. Yeah. So all right. Now you're in Orlando. How long were you in Orlando?
I was I managed to escape my next trafficker.
The one he sold you to.
The one he sold me to. He sold me to 3 dudes for a car, who proceeded to break me in by raping me for 7 hours back to back to back. And when I finally managed to get out of that house, I hitchhiked back to here to hit my old stomping grounds, which is Phillips Highway, and pretty much found found a whole bunch of the same shit. So, but and then when shit got bad here on Phillips Highway, I hitchhiked back to Orlando.
Because it was safe place, like a level of comfortability where
There was more
the
money.
evil, more money.
There was more money to be paid in
Wow.
Orlando. Yeah.
So there's first, and I know I might skip ahead, but
That's
has
okay.
any of these people been reprimanded or caught for this, or got in any kind of trouble for this at all?
My last trafficker before I got out and got sober, um, I I know that he was brought up on some charges, but I'm not sure if they ever went through, because I had to cut all ties.
Yeah.
I had to cut all ties. I went to Alabama, to the middle of the woods, to a program for human trafficking survivors.
Wow.
So just to get away from it all.
So how old is your daughter now?
She's 11.
And I can see the smile on your face
Yeah,
that
she's a
she's your pride
beautiful
and joy.
pain in my ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a 15-year-old, so just hearing this story, a 15-year-old daughter, and hearing this story just makes me think like, man, this world is, and we try to convey that message to our children. Like this
Yeah.
world is not all peaches and cream, bubbles and butterflies.
No, it's not.
There's some darkness out here. There's some. So how, what message would you send to young girls who are thinking that this world is a joke or thinking that it's all fun and games? What message do you send to these young girls out here?
There's a lot of things I'd like to say, but I think that like I would say first and foremost, but they're kind of both equally important.
Okay.
Just as human beings alone, as women, men, whatever, as human beings alone, we have inherent worth and value. Period. We don't get that from other human beings. We don't get that. We get that because we were created by something other than ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
Whatever you believe that to be, you did not breathe yourself into being. So there must be some sort of worth and value to you for you to be even created and to be walking this earth. So if you can believe anything, believe that first. And the other thing is anybody can say anything, but until they're, anybody can talk about anything, but until they're about it, until they like actually, be about it instead of just talk about it.
It's a different story.
Is a whole different story. Because people will say almost anything, and man, we love to hear what we want to hear. We love to hear that shit, but it don't mean anything, especially nowadays. It means absolutely nothing. Actually, I don't know if anything's actually changed in 25 years, but
just the social media has got us thinking different.
Yeah, the less they talk, it's probably better.
Yeah.
Just watch them.
Yes, ma'am.
Watch what they do.
So, speaking of the same old story, I hear that you are working on your story.
I am, yes. I have been inspired to write this story from the beginning.
Wow.
Which is very overwhelming because, this is just like everything I've told you is like everything in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But my life literally reads like a movie. And I look back on some of the things that I've seen, some of the things I've done, some of the things I've been through, and it is kind of mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that I'm still walking.
Yes, definitely.
So.
And smiling. I noticed that you have a nice smile and it's bright. So you have light and in your energy. And to hear the things that you've experienced and still have light in your energy, that's just, there's small things throughout life that let me know that, in my personal opinion, that God exists. And when you come across people that's experienced so much pain and they still have light energy, then that light can defeat darkness. Darkness can't defeat light. So I'm just happy to be next to your light energy because it feels good. But also my heart hurts hearing some of this stuff, but I still feel good hearing it from you because you're smiling and you're so comfortable in your own skin. But in regards to your book, how big? Now, I don't want to say how big is your book is, and the people ain't gonna read a thick book. But I'm saying how is that chord right there? But how is it from? It's from A to Z.
Yeah, I'm trying not to focus so much on the adolescence and the early abuse, except to so like some crazy number between like 88 and 93% of women who are prostitutes, and these are just the ones who have spoken. So I'm sure the number could be 100% easy.
Yeah.
Have all experienced some type of sexual abuse as girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's no surprise, but it seems like kind of an untapped area. There's a lot of stigma around prostitution and a lot of like in this world right now, there's a lot of controversy over prostitution as like a human right. Like, well, it's my choice to make that kind of money. It's my choice to make money in that way.
The OnlyFans question.
And the only answer I have to that is, what little girl do you know when you ask her what she wants to be when she grows up says, exactly, I want to sell my body for sex?
Exactly.
Not a single fucking one of them. So, I mean, that's the only answer to that question that I can come up with.
That's real shit.
So, yeah, I don't want to focus too much on the adolescence part of it, except to show where it led me. And then, like I said, I've only been able to touch on some of the things, but I really want to dive into like the day in and day out of my life on the streets, because that shit was more real than anything I've ever experienced, even to this day, because I walk around and like I work, the place I work at. Yeah, like I love my job, but I'm surrounded by fakeness. I'm surrounded by bullshit. And the saddest part about it is they feel like they have to act like that. They feel like that's what they need to do to get attention. But, it's sad, and it's also annoying at the same time.
It's that mask I was speaking about earlier.
Yeah.
That shell and it's just to guard your
Exactly.
heart, or guard your feelings from the rest of the world.
Right. Like that shit's not cool.
Yeah.
Like not in real life. That shit's not fucking cool.
Exactly. Understandable. And so how many people since you've been out of that life have you came across and seen that's still a part of that life?
Actually, every time I go to drop my daughter off at her dad's, I drive down part of Phillips Highway, and I would say 50% of the time I see somebody I know. It's either a girl. Sometimes I see him on TV. I bet you if I were to go down to OBT, though, I'd see a lot more.
What's OBT?
Orange Blossom Trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Orlando.
Yeah. So now, how many days out the week, or do you have like split custody with your ex-husband?
Yeah, it took me a while to gain custody back. I never lost my rights, but I lost custody.
Okay.
I gave him everything in the divorce just to have a fighting chance for my daughter. And I worked my way towards 50-50. And then, let's see, last year, in the beginning of last summer, we finally decided, he basically asked me, but that I would have her full time. So she sees him every weekend, and I have her full time. I moved her out to the beach to go to school and just to have kind of a well-rounded, consistent, structural life.
It keeps you grounded?
It keeps her grounded.
Yeah, no pun intended.
It keeps her grounded. She thrives under structure. I think we all thrive under a certain amount of structure, for sure. But I don't think that I'm very careful not to keep my contentment or my peace tied to anything here.
Yes.
Even my daughter, because if I do that, she's going to disappoint me. Everybody's going to disappoint me. Yeah. So even when like the peace of Jesus that surpasses all understanding, I get that so truly and deeply, because I don't understand it. I might not even feel it, but I know that I know that I know that I have it.
Yes.
Just because I believe in him and I believe in what he did for me. So like, even when I feel super nervous about doing a podcast, I'm like, all right, Jesus, like this is you.
Yeah.
This is about you. It's not even my story. So I get to
awesome,
walk
bro.
in that freedom. And then I get to actually be there for my daughter fully, because I'm taken care of.
Yes.
So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Because when I went out there, and I ain't gonna knock it, when I went out there on the patio and stuff, I prayed that I could make sure that this is a good episode and that your story could be told correctly, and that it's free flowing, and that it reaches the people that it's supposed to reach. So now we done went through your young childhood. We done went through your process of you moving to Jacksonville. Well, before I go to my next question, how is your relationship with your dad now and your mom?
My dad or my stepdad?
Your adopted dad that was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he died in 2019.
My condolences.
It's okay. He's from COVID, but he had underlying conditions and like a DNR and stuff. But he ended with like 5 years sober in his life.
Congratulations.
And he is a cool dude, and he's very proud of me, I'm sure.
That's fine.
So, and he got to see me get sober. So
That's
that
awesome.
was important.
Yeah.
Crazy thing, my mom is still married to my stepdad.
Wow.
He has since given his life and his heart to Jesus, because I got saved, and I got saved from the streets, and he said there must be a God, and he surrendered his life. Now, it's hard for me, and it's hard because I still have some pride, and there's obviously still
Resentment.
something sitting in my heart. Yeah, but you know what? That's what was killing me. Is the resentment, was that resentment. That's what was driving me, because I felt wronged. And so instead of turning that victimhood into empowerment, I just went with it, because it's almost easier to do that instead of confronting what happened to me and then asking for forgiveness. It took me like a year to forgive this man.
Yeah.
And I would just get on my knees and I would pray and I would say, Lord, I don't mean what I'm about to say, but I forgive him. And then I would pray blessings on him. Everything that I wanted for myself, I would pray for him. And I did that every morning for a year until I finally started to mean it.
That's commitment.
But it saved my life. It saved my fucking life. So I can stand to be around him. But that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't ask anything more. I mean, that's a strong heart to even be in that situation. And so you what about your mom?
I grieved my mother a long time ago.
Okay.
I had to grieve her because she wasn't able to be my mother. She needed whatever she got from him. She needed more than she could be there for me.
Understood.
So that's actually, I had to do like court mandated therapy when I turned my stepfather in, and that's something I had to do, was literally grieve the loss of my mother. And so now I was able to come back after everything I've seen and everything I've been through. She was like, none of that shit mattered anymore. Because I mean, it's still like, when you think about it, it's still fucked up, like, I don't care if my kid comes to me and I know she's lying. If she says I'm being abused, I'm being hurt, the fact alone that she feels like she has to say that means something's wrong, and I'm gonna take care of it. Yes, period. But that's me. That's me now. And that like I said, everything I've been through, and the abuse and the manipulation and the games that I went through on the street is makes what I went through in my household like fucking small potatoes, like Lego time. So I just came back, and my mom's like, she's a friend now. She's a friend. Okay. Yeah. And yeah.
Dang. So how long have you been out of that arena, out of that situation?
Off the streets?
Yeah, off the streets, out of that situation. Not doing. Do you drink? Do you smoke? Do you do anything?
No, not at all.
All right. So how long has it been?
Well, for sobriety, I'll have 5 years sober on August 8th, which is also the last time I got released from jail. Okay. So I went into jail on August 6th, 2019, and that was my last time. In the name of Jesus.
Congratulations. Yeah.
I ain't ever going back.
Nah, heck nah. All right. So that's the sobriety, and that's also the same time around with the streets?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when's your birthday?
It's the day after Valentine's Day.
Oh, you an Aquarius?
I am.
Yeah.
All the way.
And who else is GP an Aquarius? No, he's an Aries. Never mind. Oh, she was a Taurus. Oh, she might be an Aquarius. Her parents was a Taurus. But so most Aquariuses I know, and I've always had this conversation when I find out somebody's Aquarius, is one, they're very artistic, but it's low. Like, they don't want people to know, really. A lot of the times they don't put it out there, but they're a fighter too. So like, you was out there in the streets, you was throwing them things, wasn't you?
Oh yeah, I got a record to prove it too.
Yeah, so yeah, I got some family members that's Aquariuses, and they just their whole lives they just been fighters, man. So what what is your artistic side? Like, what is your artistic gift?
Honestly,
Writing, poems?
yeah, writing. I
Mhm.
have a knack for words. I really
I can
do.
tell.
Yeah, I was listening to them earlier and I wrote my own little lyrics to your song in my head, but I decided it wasn't my
She was
time.
about to go drop that flame. Dylan, 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 because I spit hot fire.
You were
She was about
struggling to come up, and I'm like, I got the next 5
to-
lines for you.
right here,
babe.
son.
Like-
Right here. Just give my credit. That's weird, man. That's what's up. So, all right. Are you nervous still about this podcast thing?
Like in my mind, I'm good.
Yeah.
But like I'm having a physiological response to it, but that also comes with telling my story because I think I don't think there's any shame left, but my pride is like, do I really want people to know this shit about
Yeah.
me? You know, like, do I really want them to know like how far down I went?
That's the testimony. I feel like what that does is, I mean, that will make us feel comfortable enough to share our darkest moments. That'll make anybody
Amen.
that's
See?
listening
I like
to
that.
feel comfortable enough to share their darkest moments, or just come to terms with it, to face it. Because I had a conversation with my daughter before, and with other people in the family. I said, there's things that happen that you don't agree with when you're young, and what tends to happen with people is they'll turn their back on it, and it becomes this big dark monster, and it grows and it grows and it grows.
Yep.
And a lot of people just continues to run from that, and then some people actually stops and turns around and faces it.
Yeah, you gotta face
And
it.
yeah, and that right there is the peace. That's the peace, and that's
That's the
what you're doing.
peace.
You turned around and you like, you're not gonna control me, my upbringing, the shame, the bad decisions I made, the decisions that other people made for me, doesn't control me.
Yep. It
I
doesn't
can,
define
yeah,
me.
it doesn't define me. Exactly. You make your own way in this world, like with Most High guiding you, and but you make your own way. You put your mind to it. You set your goals, that, and then at the same time, all of this could be a part of this bigger plan. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had a conversation with one of my homies before, and we debate a lot. So I was saying, what if bad is just a like a figment of our imagination? What if there's no such thing as bad? Like, what if we understand bad as just humans? Because what if what you experience is bad, and you go and share your testimony, you could stop a million girls from going through that.
Yeah, it's no longer
So
bad.
is it no, exactly? What if this child parent dies from gun violence, and they go on and stop gun violence? Is it bad? Is that dark? So what if we just come up and say, like, what if everything is inherently good? It's just out of our understanding. You feel me? So that was just a debate that we were having.
Yeah, I think honestly, you want to respond to that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I honestly think that nothing really in and of its own right is good or bad. I think it is what we make it. And not just what we make it, but I find that usually the problem is in perspective. So you can look at it one way and it can drive you to behave a certain way. But if you look at it a different way, the behavior changes. So it's all about perspective. So I can look at like, I'm trying to come up with an example, but like my work situation.
Yeah.
This is a conversation I've been having lately. And I've been feeling a little frustrated because I'm supposed to get promoted and I feel like I'm not getting promoted, and I feel like they're just, they're mushrooming me. Okay.
Yeah.
They're feeding me shit and keeping me in the dark. But honestly, if I look at it like that, what I focus on is going to expand. So the more I look at it like that, the more that's what I'm going to see.
Yeah.
And so if I can shift my perspective and say, all right, well, that's my job, but writing my book is my work. Writing my story is my book. Helping people is my work. Helping people is my work, because that's really what I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so, like you were talking about, it can be what I went through is a bad thing. What I'm going through could be considered a bad thing, but maybe it's just not what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's not, I don't think it's all about like destiny or divine intervention. I think it's really just about my attitude about the whole thing.
And you said you're supposed to help people. So
I want to help people.
you're supposed to, based on the energy that you have.
That's true.
Definitely.
That's true.
So, which you're supposed to help people. So you believe in the Most High. So you say, okay, God, I want to help people,
Mhm.
and you go through all of that process to be able to help people.
Yeah.
I believe in things like that. I believe that that's how things go. You got to go through the training.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of training, you said to me earlier before we started to record, you were going through the process of what classes?
I I earned my degree in sociology and theology.
Wow, yo,
Yeah, my
give it up for her.
bachelor's. My bachelor's.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's definite.
Yeah, I learned a lot.
So like first off, what made you want to do that?
Go back to school.
Yeah.
I think initially it was just like I come from a really long line of like very highly annoyingly educated people. Even my dad, the crack addict, had a PhD in history. Okay,
Wow.
so like long line of, and I'm literally the last one left, other than the ones who are much younger than me, in all of my family to have earned a degree. So they welcomed me back into the family. But I think that's how it started. But then I decided I wanted to go to seminary because I said, if it ain't about God, if I don't want anything to do with it. And whatever that means, I mean, God is everywhere. And
Yep.
for me, it has, people listen to me talk sometimes and they're like, oh, so you're religious, you're a Christian, no, I'm none of those things. I just know that I know that I know, because I was dead. I was like the walking dead, and I didn't care if I lived or died. And in fact, I welcomed death. Like I'd see danger and I'd be like, oh, I want a part of that. And then I decided that I couldn't do it myself anymore. And I turned my life over to whatever would take it. And now I'm here and I'm still like, I'm thriving. So it's not about religion. I forgot what I was talking about.
No, you was talking about seminary and
oh yeah, so I wanted to go to seminary, but because of my criminal record, they wouldn't let me in.
Oh.
So one day I was just like laying out all these schools, and I was actually in the program for human trafficking survivors
in Alabama.
Yeah. Called the Well House.
Shouts out to the Well House.
Yeah, definitely. And I was talking to like my house mother at the time, who was like a spiritual mother of mine, and she one of those like old school like nothing gets past her old lady. I love her.
Yeah.
Miss Sue. Anyway, I laid everything out, laid all my options out, and I was like, let's just pray about this. And apparently I had put my name or my email or something, or the phone number for the house bomb out online when I was looking for schools. And Grand Canyon University called me in that moment when I was about to pray over the schools. And that wasn't even that wasn't even one of the schools I was going to go to. I know. I knew I was going to mess something up.
No, you good. All right.
Okay.
Time. I just wanted to say that so I know when to click and edit.
Okay.
So Grand Canyon University called you as soon as you were going to pray about it?
Okay. And she said I couldn't go into seminary, but I could pick a different degree. And when I was like right before I moved to Florida, I decided to try to go to college, and I made it like halfway through my first semester before I miserably failed out. But
you had all your gen eds. You took all your gen eds out the way?
For the most part, yeah. And they actually transferred 13 years later. It was a miracle.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I had chosen, I started out with like a degree in business, and I was hit economics, and I was like, I'm not doing this. So I switched to sociology, human behavior and culture. And so I just decided, okay, well, I'll do that, and then I'll do my emphasis and do an entire year of theology classes.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
Okay. What was the most interesting thing that you learned about human behavior and when you were getting your degree?
I don't know. I learned a lot of interesting things, but what I will tell you is that it really kind of goes back to the perspective thing. But because people will look at human behavior and it's driven by a certain set, like a certain perspective, like a certain theoretical perspective. Okay, there's like conflict, there's like a functional perspective, and then there's my favorite, of course, which is symbolic interactionism. Okay, and so basically and it's usually like trying to explain human behavior, like anything from prostitution to the Holocaust to how we raise our children. Okay, they all kind of mesh together, and it basically boils it down to like every single interaction we have affects our behavior, along with the structures that our culture and our society put on us, along with the power struggles that are present in our lives. So it's like a multifaceted influence that's happening on a regular basis. And unless you are, as a person, extremely mindful and working towards mindfulness of where is this feeling that's driving me coming from? Is it coming from my striving to have power in my life, or my power over this man, or power over this job, power over my child? Is it coming from the fact that I just need it to function, like I'm playing a role in society that I'm supposed to play? Is it coming from the fact that this is what I've been told to do my entire life? Or is it coming from one little interaction and one little word that somebody said to me, but it meant something so much that it actually affected? And I know that there's not always like one answer or a clear answer for any of those questions, but being mindful of the source of our emotions helps us to not be driven by them, so that we can actually make, like, not logical, but like
genuine decisions based upon who we really are.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which is actually takes a lot of fucking work on a regular basis, which is why I don't like walk around talking all the time.
That's why
I like to just like observe how I respond to things, and then and just like marinate in it, and then usually I can come back and have an effective response to something.
That is amazing, man. This has been, so I mean, every interview I've done has been a great interview. But Bash, man, thank you for setting this up, because this has been one of my most favorite interviews, and it's great. I've learned a lot. I've had highs and lows throughout this interview where my feelings was hurt. I was angry. I was happy for you, happy to learn how somebody can overcome the trials and tribulations and strive for better and gain more in life. Like, there's so many people who's never dealt with half, if not none of the stuff that you've dealt with and aren't college educated. There's so many people who's dealt with way less than you and never pulled themselves out. And every one of us experiences dark times in our lives. I understand that completely. But I mean, that's why you don't judge anybody you don't know, because you never know their struggle. You never know their struggle.
Absolutely.
So it's been a blessing to just sit here and talk to you, to get to know you and to understand your story. And I look forward to talking to you on another episode, because I want to sit down and dive more into and learn more about you. Is there any social media or anything that we could find you on?
I stay out of it.
Yeah.
I stay out of it.
Smart lady.
It's a time suck and a mind suck for me.
Yeah. I'm going to need to know how to spell your last name.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to need you to, we probably could take a picture, or I'll have you send me a picture that we could put up here. Put it on Instagram so we can have that out there. Is there anybody that you want to thank, shout out, anybody that you want to speak on?
I mean, there's a lot of people that come to mind, but I'll thank Harrison. Bash. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because this is good. It's been an inspiration, and I need a push. I'm stubborn, and I don't think I give myself enough credit for, and not like I deserve the credit, but like I don't know.
You do.
I don't know.
I mean, to say you saying, and I understand why you feel like you wouldn't want to say it, but you do. You've pushed. You've been through so much in your life, and you're still motivated you have ambition. There's people that don't have any ambition. So you do deserve that credit. Keep going. I mean, this story is amazing. You writing a book. That's amazing. You have a bachelor's degree. That's amazing. Like, continue. You felt messed up that you said they're just, I don't know the word you use, but they're just lollygagging around with your promotion. You ambitious enough to say, hey, I want my promotion, motherfucker.
I did.
Like,
I did
so,
today.
like, it's you do deserve that. And like I said before, I just appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to me.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. This has been another episode of the Smoke Pit. I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe, like, comment, follow, share, and we got more heat coming to you. Peace. All my dreams, yeah. Tears of an angel, tears of an angel, tears of an angel.